Greetings, fellow browncoats. Well, it's time to take a look at the penultimate episode of Firefly, Heart of Gold. At a brothel in the middle of a barren land, a powerful landowner named Rance Burgess, accompanied by thugs, approaches the Madam Nandy, demanding to see a woman named Pedaline. Nandy refuses to let him in, but Burgess's thugs draw Pedaline, who is visibly several months pregnant, so Burgess can extract a DNA sample. He tells her he will return for his child if his test on the DNA proves the child to be his, threatening to get out of her if need be. On board the Serenity, Inara receives a stress call from Nandy, an old friend of hers. After Nandy requests Inara's help, Inara goes to Mal. She explains that Nandy and the prostitutes who work in her brothel are not companions and are not protected by the guild. After she relates her plight, Mal agrees to help them. Upon landing, Jane takes one of the women to his room. Shepherd agrees to conduct a prayer reading, and Simon goes to examine Pedaline, who will give birth soon. Mal gets to know Nandy, who explains that Burgess deliberately keeps the people poor so he can live out his Wild West fantasies. Mal and Nara meet Burgess at the local theater, with Mal making polite conversation and beginning to hold Burgess's personal laser gun. After they leave, Burgess gets confirmation that the baby is his. Mal advises Nandy to close the brothel and evacuate her people off-planet, but Nandy refuses to leave her hard-earned property and way of life. Mal, impressed by her stubbornness, agrees to stay and fortify the ranch for Burgess's impending attack. As the Serenity crew makes their preparations, Zoe has a tense conversation with Wash about whether they should have a child of their own. Pedaline goes into labor, with Inara, Simon, and River beside her. Nandy and Mal sleep together that evening, and Mal learns that Inara was skilled enough to potentially become a leader of the Companions Guild, but instead chose to leave the comfort of the central planets to travel the galaxy. Nandy herself admits that she gave up on her companion training because she found it too restricting, and that even though Inara was supposed to shun her per the guild's rules, the two women have kept in touch regardless. Back in town, one of Nandy's girls, Chari, secretly reveals Mal's plan to Burgess in exchange for being allowed to perform sexual acts on him. The next morning, Mal tries to explain his side with Nandy to Inara, but Inara calmly tells him that there is no reason to be embarrassed about his sex life, and also thanks him for comforting her friend. Nonetheless, Inara subsequently sobs deeply in private. Burgess's men attack the ranch, and a battle ensues, with the Serenity crew leading the prostitutes to fight their attackers. On board the Serenity, Wash Kaylee finds one of Burgess's men searching the ship and manage to outsmart and unlock them in a hallway. As Pedaline gives birth, Chari lets Burgess inside. He steals the baby and shoots Nandy dead when she tries to stop him. Mal pursues him on horseback and drags him back to the ranch, where Pedaline shows him their son, Jonah, before killing him. The surviving men, as well as Chari, are ordered to walk back to town. Following a funeral for Nandy and the rest of the fallen, Serenity departs. Back on the ship, Inara reiterates her gratitude that Mal was able to comfort Nandy on what turned out to be her last night. But Mal could only regret his failure to save her. As Mal tries to approach the subject of his and Inara's unacknowledged feelings towards each other, Inara muses about how the family Nandy made for herself isn't that different from what she has in Serenity. She then tells Mal she intends to do something she should have done before. Leave him and the ship. Aww. So overall, this is a pretty unique episode, and yeah, learning a little bit more about Inara's backstory is also kind of interesting, but yeah, it's also kind of sad as well, so yeah. So overall, I gave the episode Heart of Gold 5 Fireflies out of 5. Well, anyway, tune in a bit as we take a look at the final episode, Objects in Space. So, until then, remember everyone, you can't take the sky from me.